Hey team, welcome to another Tom's Takeaways. This week we are continuing looking at Seth Godin's book, The Practice. And this is episode 8, Momentum. Now, let me guess. You want the thing that you're working on, whether it be a creative project or a business idea, to be good. In fact, you want it to be really good. And sometimes that wanting will turn into waiting. You know, you're waiting until the right idea strikes, whether, it's polished. You're waiting perhaps even until you feel worthy enough, qualified enough to share it. But here's what Seth says in The Practice. And it's one of my favorite takeaways because I needed to hear it as well. The only way to make things better is to make things. Now, what I love about this is that it's such a refreshing shift because we are taught to aim for quality. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need it to be of good quality. But sometimes that can hold us back. And Seth flips that on its head. He says focus on quantity, on repetition, on showing up again and again, because that's how we can get better. We can learn through producing, and through this ideation process, we can develop our idea into something that is truly great. And he talks about creative generosity. It's not about making something to impress other people, but to serve. It's not about getting it perfect. It's about creating change and about helping. And really that takes a lot of pressure off. As a recovering perfectionist, I can attest to that. For me, when I first started writing publicly, I would spend absolutely ages editing. And this was years ago because I've been blogging since I was 17, 18 maybe. And my inner critic was that kind of editor sat on my shoulder. Every word, every sentence was just overthought to death because I was trying to make it perfect. But what happened was that perfectionism actually slowed me down, and it made what I enjoyed, that writing process, feel heavy, like it was a homework project and not really an expression of how I felt. And then I shifted. I learnt through kind of many years, but I shifted to a new approach. What if I just was writing for one person, trying to help one person? Initially, that was me. And then it became an imaginary person, and trusting that, it was better to be done and get it out for that person than to be perfect and they never read it. And that made it a little bit easier, a little bit lighter to write, and a little bit more fun because I wasn't putting as much judgment on it. And certainly many posts flopped. Some really landed, and I had conversations in real life with people, not just online. But I kept going. That helped me to keep pursuing, keep writing, keep producing. Because the act of making and creating, that is real growth. It's real vulnerability. If you've been struggling, if you've been holding back because what you're doing is not perfect yet, then let this be your nudge. Make the thing and share it, and refine it next time. Improve it in the process. Because, as I said, the way to create something great is to make a lot of average and okay things first. Things that might just be good enough. And it's not failure. That is the path to improving it. And when you shift from that performance to serving others, from a kind of ego, look at me, to how can I help you, then everything changes. You come outside of yourself, out away from that ego, and it becomes about connection to other people. So this week, I'd love to challenge you for this week. What could you make and share, even if it's not perfect? It could be a post, it could be a writing paragraph, it could be a photo of a piece of work like a passion project, a rough draft. Don't wait until it's flawless, but make it generous and make it real for someone else, and then put it out there. Because that's how we make things better, by making things. That's it for this week's takeaway from The Practice by Seth Godin. The final one is next week, and we close the series with letting go of results. Because your job and my job isn't to control the outcome. It's just to keep showing up, doing the work, and trusting that process. Thanks for being here and joining me. And here's to making some messy, meaningful things this week. All the best. Cheers.